think the other thing that I say is that we have in British Columbia, and you may be aware of this, but we've got a real focus on First Nations, on truth and reconciliation, and there are a set of learning principles that were developed about 10 years ago as a collaboration across different Indigenous groups that have led to a series of learning principles that we think are really important, and we try and live those in the work. And one of them is that learning takes patience and time. And I think just making that really clear, that this work, the work with the spiral, isn't a race. We're going to take our time, and we're going to, it's not a check the box kind of process. It's really around a way of professional being. So I think that's important. And the other, connected to your focus on well-being, is that the first of the First Peoples learning principles is that learning ultimately supports the well-being of the self, the family, the community, the land, the spirits, and the ancestors. So kind of placing learning from an Indigenous perspective for us right in the center, and saying these are things that we're going to be living through this work is really important. So, we try and make sure that the work is grounded in the First Peoples learning principles, as well as the learning principles from the OECD that came out through the work on innovative learning environments. And, the first one is the connection between emotion and motivation. So, just to kind of make that really solid, that this isn't just something that's been cooked up, but it's really grounded in learning. So,
I'd add maybe one more thing, and this is why the leadership is so important. Most schools are doing too many things. We have traditions. We've always had a spring tea for the grade 7s or whatever. We do many things. And in order to do teaching for thinking of any kind, you have to put something down. You have to select something that you're going to do a little less of. So with our primary teachers, they used to always do calendar first thing in the day. And now they don't. They have young people standing in a circle and expressing an emotion, and they do that for 20 minutes. And it's way more powerful, and they don't seem to have lost track of the date or the time. But it takes some thinking about things to select something that you are going to stop doing, so that you are making some room for something that is more powerful for today's learning.
Go ahead.
Sorry, carry on.
Well, I was just going to say, as Linda was talking about what we're going to stop doing, I think that that's an important message for people in schools too, that this is not, we're not adding on, we're going to be thinking about what we're doing in a more intentional way, so that there's some practices we can stop. And a fun way of introducing that we found is through, there's a YouTube clip from Sesame Street. I don't know whether Sesame Street ever made it to Wales.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you just go on Google or on YouTube and type in "put down the ducky," it's just a wonderful short clip about how Ernie is incapable of learning how to play the saxophone because he's holding on to his rubber ducky at the same time. And so we don't do it anymore because they're plastic and made in China, but we used to actually give people rubber duckies and have them write down the one thing they were going to stop doing. And we've had principals that have then collected those from teachers, put them in a basket, and once a month remind them of what they're not stop doing, because it's hard to change habits. So anyway, I think that's that can be a useful message.
So some humor is useful in our perfect set of conditions.
It's so helpful, and I think put down the ducky kind of is speaking quite a bit to one of the dilemmas we face, just knowing how much our schools are holding. We're living in a time of quite significant legislative change. So there's new curriculum, there's a new additional learning needs bill, And these are big changes for schools to hold alongside the whole school approach agenda, which is something else that's a hot topic in Wales at the moment.